Oh man, it's been a while. I haven't been doing these Twitter police videos lately. Mainly I just use the Instagram page. That's for the takes that don't really deserve to be in a video, but they're still bad takes. And yeah, I had somebody DM me and ask me like, man, how do you do these videos? How do you read through these takes and respond to them without getting a headache? And yeah, I do get a headache, migraines actually. That's why I haven't done one in a while. But on this particular day, I have it together enough to go ahead and read through some of these, so let's go ahead and not waste any more time. And here's a post that was listing Dwight Howard's accomplishments and why he is definitely going to be a Hall of Famer. And you know those posts are always primed for toxicity. You just know you're about to read some of the worst takes you can find, and didn't even have to scroll long. This one says, no way, he trash AF. He only succeeded in Orlando because during that time the league wasn't great. Oh yeah, I love these takes. I love these so much. You know why? Because now this is my 16th year watching basketball, and it's like I've lived through these times and seen the narratives actually change. So like for example, in 2009, yes, that was a thing where people were complaining like, oh, the league is soft, the refs call everything. People were complaining about that type of stuff, right? And then here we are in 2019, and I'll see a highlight from 2009, and people will be like, oh man, that's back when the league wasn't soft, you know, this is when they could actually play basketball. Like, it's so mind-boggling to me to have lived and seen so much basketball that I've actually seen the narratives change. However, this is probably a kid who wasn't even around back then, because if you were watching basketball in 2009, you would never say such a thing. First of all, this is around the time where LeBron and Kobe were playing some of their best basketball. LeBron James went on to get better, but I think that was near peak athleticism for him. That's when he was just using it every night, jumping out of the gym every night. Cleveland was winning 60 games. You had Kobe and Gasol. Dwight was successful in a league where you had the San Antonio Spurs that were either winning championships or they were contending for championships. You're talking about the Big Three Celtics, MVP Derrick Rose. Hell, the tail end of Dwight Howard's run ends where you have the Big Three Miami Heat. Just so I'm being specific and clear, Dwight Howard's best run of his career was basically from 2008, I would say, to 2011, because the next year was a lockout year and then ended when he had surgery. So from 08 to 11, that's when Dwight was like doing everything, the defense, leading the Magic to the finals. Like, just so I can put this into perspective, Dwight Howard was one of the best players in the league at the same time as Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Dirk Nowitzki, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul, Amari Stoudemire. Yeah, Dwight Howard carved out quite a space for himself in a league that had those type of names sitting at the top of it, so yeah, this take really doesn't make sense to me. Let's go with some generic James Harden hate for the next one. This post shows NBA players' career highs, and it has some surprising names on it. You see Mo Williams, Terrence Ross, Corey Brewer, some guys you would never associate with 50-point games. Yeah, they've been there. But of course, on a post that has absolutely nothing to do with James Harden, guy here says, this shows you that you give any player in the league a chance to shoot 20 to 25 shots a game like Harden, they're gonna put up some numbers. Oh my goodness, you're better than this. Y'all are better than this. Harden haters, y'all have to be better than this. First of all, if you are a Harden hater, then whatever, that's your thing, but this guy cannot be your spokesperson. You're taking guys' career highs, right? Mo Williams, Terrence Ross, these guys who never sniffed 50 points again, right? Or didn't do it a whole lot. Like, these might be their only 50-point games. You're taking these guys as your example as to why anybody can put up those type of numbers with that many shots. First of all, two things. Number one, if you give Corey Brewer 25 to 25 shots a game for an entire season, I guarantee you he will not put up 50 points on a consistent basis. I also guarantee you that he's not going to be leading his team to wins, because that's not his role. That's not the type of player he is. You're arguing that you can score that much just because you take that many shots and you can have the same success? You can only think this if you don't play basketball at all. That's the only way you could come to this conclusion. Because at this point, you're just breaking it down to a game of numbers. These are guys that just caught fire one night, man. I think, yes, there are a lot of players in the NBA that can catch fire like this and just go like and one mode and start and probably drop 50 on a night. Yeah, there are some random names out there that are probably capable of that. But okay, specifically for James Harden, this season he's dropped 50 or more points 6 times. They've only lost 2 of those games. In 3 of these games where he scored 50 points, he also had 10 plus rebounds. Also in 3 of these games, he's had 10 plus assists. Last night's game was a comeback win, and in a lot of these other games, Chris Paul wasn't playing and he was missing other support pieces, which means they kind of needed him to do what he did to get the win. So, if I'm understanding this take correctly, it's trying to tell me that Mo Williams and Corey Brewer could fill James Harden's shoes if they just took more shots. Man, look, you don't even have to have had played for a team or anything, right? Just pickup games, just local pickup games at your rec center or whatever. If you go out there and you take 20 plus shots, you might just miss all them bitches, fam. That's why I'm saying this has to come from somebody who just doesn't play at all. Because any player at any level just taking a bunch of shots does not mean they're gonna make a lot or that the team is even gonna come out successful. And the other part that bothers me, like just in general about the Harden hate, because a lot of it is of this variety. What about the other stuff that he does so that the team wins? Like, this is a perfect time, right? Because last night he just did that to Miami where he had like 58 points in a comeback win. Then on top of that, he has 10 assists and 7 rebounds. Like, we actually live in an era where people are trying to minimize the impact of that, or how difficult that actually is to do. To go out there and create your own offense and facilitate, those are two different things you're paying attention to while in the flow of a game. So you're looking to score, and you're also looking to set other people up and you're doing both of those at an elite level. Then you get on social media after the game and little Timmy has all this shit to say, like, whatever man, next. Here's an interesting one. This post was comparing Scottie Pippen and Kawhi Leonard. And I have a sense that people feel differently about this, cause Scottie Pippen was no damn slouch. I get Kawhi Leonard is what's happening right now, but Pippen at his best was pretty damn good too. Anyways, I get it if you take Kawhi, and this guy says Kawhi is much better. Okay, that's your opinion. But then to say that he won a championship for San Antonio while Scottie was carried to all of his championships. Both great players though, 216 likes. Wow, people actually agree with that bullshit, man. What? First of all, what is this thing? I can't remember if I covered this in a previous episode. Why is there a narrative now? I'm seeing this more and more. Why is there a narrative that Kawhi Leonard won a championship for San Antonio? It's like people think the Kawhi Leonard we see now is the Kawhi Leonard that's been around since like 2013. That's not accurate. But this is probably from that same school of people that say because Kobe didn't win all his finals MVPs that he just really didn't contribute to the NBA finals rings with Shaquille O'Neal. That's a different story. But y'all did watch the 2014 Spurs, right? That was a team that was all about ball movement, and then they still had Parker, Ginobili, and Duncan, which of course they were not in their primes, but they were still very serviceable. And at that point, Kawhi Leonard was more of the young guy that they were grooming to take over the Spurs for once they were gone. He wasn't playing the same role that he played when it was him and LaMarcus Aldridge, or that he even plays now for Toronto. It was not the same thing, so he did not win San Antonio a championship. That's the first thing. Second of all, where the hell did you get this? Scottie Pippen carried. Scottie Pippen, okay, you know what? The only time you can make this argument, there's one season I think you can make this argument, and that would be 1998. 1998 when the Bulls broke up, Scottie Pippen decided to have surgery late, so he recovered during the season, so he missed like half the season. Then by the time the NBA Finals came around, I believe in that last game against the Jazz, Game 6, he played like 25 minutes. Definitely did not play well from an offensive standpoint, 16 points on 40% shooting if I remember correctly. Even then I would not say carried, but yeah, Michael definitely had to take them home that year. But the other years, especially like in the early on before Dennis Rodman was there, you're talking about like the Lakers series. They put Scottie Pippen on Magic Johnson because Jordan wasn't going to be able to handle him. They let Scottie Pippen handle that defensive assignment, which was probably the most important one of the series. Scottie's versatility also helped Michael Jordan to be able to just focus on scoring, right? Like, I'm not saying, of course, Michael was amazing at defense, but the fact that they had Scottie to be able to just, just focus on passing and focus on defense, that really allowed Michael to do what he did on offense, or it opened it up more for him. So that's what made the 90s Bulls. That's a big chunk of what made them such a damn headache for everybody. That's why they have 6 titles out of what was available in that decade. I can understand if you'll say Kawhi Leonard was better than Scottie Pippen, but if you're gonna say it's because MJ carried Pippen, and essentially you're saying Kawhi carried San Antonio to a championship, that ain't it. At the end of this exchange, oh, this guy blessed us with a gem. Those Raptors teams were trash. They only made the playoffs twice in 7 years and were first round exits both times. Bosh was barely a top 20 player at any point during his career. Bosh was at most a slightly above average all-star player during his career. Where the fuck did you get that? Oh my goodness. I'm gonna read y'all some names real quick. It'll make sense in a moment. Anthony Parker, TJ Ford, Jose Calderon, Andrea Bargnani, Jamario Moon, Sean Marion for 27 games, Jermaine O'Neal for 41 games, Jarrett Jack, a highly watered down Hedo Turkoglu, and rookie DeMar DeRozan. Do you know what I just read you? Those were basically all of Chris Bosh's notable teammates from around 2007 to 2010. That was a time in which Bosh averaged 22 points and 10 rebounds on about 50% field goal shooting and was easily a top power forward in the NBA. Arguing that Bosh was never a top player or never close to a top player, because his subpar teams, no, his far below subpar teams, never did anything of significance, is such a basic take. Oh, it's so basic and it's bad. And to say he was never a top 20 player at any time during his career, I guarantee you this person did not watch basketball around that time. I would bet anything. Let me describe Chris Bosh to you from someone who was around back then and paying super close attention to the league and its stars. Chris Bosh was a guy year in and year out right before he went to Miami that we always considered a top power forward, a top big man. So if you can think back to around that time where you're looking at Amari Stoudemire, Tim Duncan, and Dirk, of course those guys, when you're talking about legacies, far outweigh him. But if we're talking about the time where we're looking at, okay, there's a transition coming, these guys are getting older, and we're looking at free agency where Stoudemire and Bosh are gonna go, those were some of the biggest names. Bosh was the guy that was toiling away in Toronto. We knew he was a star over there, we knew he was amazing, but we knew that team just had nothing going. They had no kind of momentum the entire time they had him. Bosh was the guy that when he signed with Miami, because for some reason people forget, he signed with the Miami Heat before LeBron James committed there. When it came across the ticker that Chris Bosh was joining Dwayne Wade in Miami, we were like, oh shit, it's lit. Even before LeBron got there, we were like, wow, Bosh just went to go play with Wade. It was lit from that moment. And you're completely out of your mind if you're saying that from that stretch, like right before he went to the Miami Heat, that he was never a top 20 player. What in the world? What? We can just talk about the year right before he went to the Miami Heat, which was the 2010 NBA season. He was much closer to a top 10 player that year. This is that stupid revisionist history I always talk about, and especially for people who only watched him in his Miami days when he was more of a spot-up shooter to help Dwayne Wade and LeBron James win championships. If that's the Bosh you're judging and that's the only Bosh you watch, then you don't know anything about Bosh. It's that simple. That's a hilariously bad take, and on that note, I have a headache. Make sure to follow this page on Instagram with the link in the description and the comment section if you want to see bad takes in between the time that I actually make another one of these videos. Hit the like button, comment, and sub if you enjoyed, and hit the bell next to my name if you want notifications on future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.